Hello everyone. We will start with the next topic today, that is aneurysm. That means arterial dilatation. Now what is aneurysm? Aneurysm is the dilatation of localized segment of arterial system, that is called as aneurysm. Okay, that means the arterial dilatation, localized segment of the artery will be dilated, and that condition is called as arterial aneurysm or aneurysm. Okay, these dilatation of artery or aneurysms, they can be either be true aneurysms or false aneurysm. Now what is true aneurysm? When all the three layers of arterial wall are present in the aneurysm sac. In the aneurysm sac, the wall is of three layers of artery, while the false aneurysm is where there is single layer of fibrous tissue will be as a wall of that sac. Only a single layer of fibrous tissue is present in the false aneurysm. Okay, that is true aneurysm and false aneurysm. Now according to shape, it can be divided into fusiform, it may be a saccular or dissecting type. So what is fusiform? The first image is a fusiform aneurysm. The both are true aneurysm, that is fusiform and saccular. Okay, in true aneurysm, all the three layers of artery will be present. Those are called as true aneurysm. While for false aneurysm, that is pseudo aneurysm, it can be because of trauma. Okay, the false aneurysm may be because of trauma. When there is trauma to the artery, then there may be a hole, that is trauma to the artery, and only a single layer of fibrous tissue wall is present in that sac. That is false aneurysm or pseudo aneurysms. So according to shape, it can be divided into fusiform, it can be a saccular type. The first diagram was fusiform, saccular is like a cyst, and next one is dissecting aneurysm. It can be because of trauma. Okay, now according to etiology, it can these aneurysms can be divided into atherosclerotic, syphilitic, it may be traumatic, it is because of collagen disease, that is Marfan syndrome. Marfan syndrome is nothing but a collagen disorders. You will learn it in 4th year. Then it is again mycotic type. Okay, according to etiology, it will divide into atherosclerotic, it can be syphilitic, traumatic, it can be because of collagen diseases, and mycotic. So the majority of aneurysms are true fusiform and atherosclerotic aneurysms. So the majority will be true fusiform atherosclerotic aneurysms. These aneurysms can occur anywhere in the body, and in big arteries also affected, and small arteries can also be affected. So the big arteries like aorta or femoral artery, popliteal artery, subclavian and carotid arteries, these big arteries can be affected by aneurysms, or these arteries can have aneurysm. And the small arteries like cerebral, splenic, mesenteric or renal arteries may have aneurysm. Okay, now we'll move towards the symptoms of aneurysm. The symptoms will be, all the aneurysms can cause symptoms due to the symptoms may be due to expansion, thrombosis or rupture or release of emboli. The symptoms relate to the vessel affected. Okay, which vessel is affected, likewise the symptoms will be. Then the site supplied. That means that artery supplies to which part of the body, then that part may be affected because of that. Then or tissue compressed by the aneurysm. Okay, aneurysm is a dilatation, so it will compress the structures which are nearer to that aneurysm. So the symptoms will depend upon that is which structures are compressed, and likewise the symptoms will be. Then emboli from aortic aneurysm, example is if the emboli from an aortic aneurysm can cause ischemia of toes. Okay, the emboli from aortic aneurysm can cause ischemia of toes, or the thrombotic occlusion of popliteal artery can cause gangrene of the foot. Okay, these are the examples. So the symptoms of aneurysm will depend upon the expansion, how much it is expanded, or the symptoms will be depends upon the thrombosis, or if the aneurysm ruptures, then the symptoms will be different, or when there is release of emboli from that artery or from that aneurysm, then the distal portion of the body may be affected. Then the clinical features of aneurysms. The clinical features may be intrinsic or extrinsic. The intrinsic clinical features are there will be swelling with expansile pulsation in the course of artery. So the arterial dilatation will look like there will be a swelling with there will be expansile pulsation you can feel over that swelling. Then the pulsation will diminish if pressure on the proximal part of artery is given. If you give pressure on the proximal part of that aneurysm or that swelling, then the pulsation will be diminished. Then that sac, that means that aneurysmal sac is compressible. You can compress that sac with your hand, and you can feel a thrill or bruit when you palpate the aneurysm. Okay, you can feel the flowing blood in that aneurysm on palpation. So these are the intrinsic clinical features. That is, you can there will be swelling with expansile pulsation in the course of artery, and the pulsations will be diminished if you give pressure on the proximal part of artery. That sac or the aneurysmal sac is compressible, and there will be thrill or bruit when you palpate that aneurysm. The next one is extrinsic clinical features. That means the neighboring structures are affected. In extrinsic clinical feature, the neighboring structures are affected. If there is pressure on a vein, then there will be distal edema. If the aneurysm is compressing a nerve, or when there is pressure on the nerve because of that swelling, then there will be altered sensations. So extrinsic clinical features depends upon the neighboring structures that are affected. Neighboring or distal structures are affected. So when there is pressure on veins or nerves, that will cause distal edema or altered sensation. In popliteal fossa, if pressure will cause gangrene, it may cause gangrene, or the bones or the joints or the tubes such as trachea or esophagus, they may also sometimes affected. But the structures which are resilient, such as intervertebral disc, often withstand the prolonged pressure. So the nearby structures are also affected, like if trachea, esophagus, these tubes or bones or joints, they may show some symptoms because of compression. like the veins or the nerves may also get compressed, and they will show symptoms like distal edema or altered sensation. So these are the clinical features of aneurysm. Then we'll move towards the differential diagnosis. Differential diagnosis, first one is swelling under the artery. When there is swelling under the artery, an artery may be pushed forward. Okay, when there is any swelling under the artery, okay, we are dealing with the differential diagnosis. First differential diagnosis is swelling under an artery. If there is any swelling under the artery, then the artery will be pushed forward. For example, the subclavian artery may be pushed forward by a cervical rib. If a cervical rib is present, then the subclavian artery may be pushed forward, and that may look like a aneurysm. So you have to differentiate it. It becomes, the subclavian artery may become prominent because of presence of cervical rib. So you have to do careful palpation of that swollen part, that will distinguish the condition. Then second one is swelling over an artery. If the swelling present over the artery, then the transmitted pulsation may be mistaken for that caused expansion. If there is swelling over the artery, they can be mistaken as aneurysm, because there may be transmitted pulsation you can feel. However, the posture may diminish the pulsation, but the posture if you feel that swelling or swelling in various posture, then that may diminish the pulsation. Okay, then next one is an abscess. Before making an incision into that swelling, okay, an abscess can be mistaken as aneurysm, but before making an incision into the swelling, that is if the swelling is present on the chest wall or in the groin or axilla or in popliteal fossa, it is essential to make sure that it doesn't pulsate. That if the abscess is present, it will not pulsate. If the aneurysm is present, then it will pulsate. So you have to differentiate it before taking an incision on the swelling, because if abscess is present, then you have to remove that pus from that abscess. You have to give a cut on that swollen part, and you have to remove the pus. But before making an incision into that swelling, you have to make sure that this the swelling it doesn't pulsate. Then another differential diagnosis is pulsating tumor may be present, such as bone sarcoma or osteoclastoma or metastasis, especially hypernephroma. These pulsating tumors can be mistaken as arterial dilatation or aneurysm. So you have to differentiate all these conditions from aneurysm. Okay, this is all about the aneurysms or arterial dilatation. The investigations in aneurysms are you have to take a careful history, you have to examine the patient, and some investigations you have to perform, like urine analysis to exclude diabetes, or you have to do hemoglobin estimation, full blood count, ESR blood group, cross matching. You have to do all the investigations like ECG, liver function test, electrolytes, urea, chest x-ray, abdomen, and USG abdomen. all these investigations you have to do. Okay, this is all about the aneurysm. We'll move towards the next topic, that is Burgess disease, or it can be also called as thromboangiitis obliterans. Thromboangiitis obliterans or Burgess disease. This is a condition that is characterized by occlusive disease of small or medium sized arteries. There will be occlusion of artery, that may be small or medium sized artery, like plantar artery or tibial or radial artery, etc. Then another feature is there will be thrombophlebitis of superficial or deep veins, and Raynaud's phenomena is present that occur in male patient in usually in young age group below 30 years of age. So this Burgess disease is characterized by three characteristics, that is occlusion of artery, small or medium size artery, thrombophlebitis of superficial or deep veins, and Raynaud's phenomena. Okay, then one or two manifestations are present, and occasionally all the three characteristics are present in the Burgess disease. It is not present in women and in non-smokers. This is characterized that this disease is not present in women and those who doesn't smoke. Then locally there will be inflammatory changes in the walls of arteries and veins, and that is histologically there will be localized inflammatory changes that may occur on the all walls of arteries and veins, and that will lead to thrombosis. And then there will be usual symptoms and signs of arterial occlusion when the disease is present. When there is occlusion of artery or the vein, then those symptoms will be present. It depends upon which artery or which vein is affected, and that will lead to gangrene of toes or fingers, and it is common and progressive. So there will be this thrombosis will lead to again gangrene of toes and fingers. The treatment is you have to advise the patient for total abstinence of smoking. So treatment is total abstinence of smoking. You can have your cigarettes or your legs, but you can't have both. Okay, that is the treatment. But it arrests the disease. Total abstinence of smoking will arrest the disease, but it doesn't resolve the established arterial occlusion. So if there is established arterial occlusion is present in the artery which is established, then it will not be reversed, but you can arrest the disease process by abstinence of smoking. So a mere reduction in smoking is not sufficient to prevent the progression of the disease. The established arterial occlusion must be treated it must be treated, the established arterial occlusion. Okay. So the direct arterial surgery is not usually applicable, but sympathectomy is most useful surgical procedure in this Burgess disease. That is, sympathectomy is more useful. It will cause healing of ischemic ulcers, it will improve the skin nutrition, and it will relieve the pain. And lastly, amputation is the conservative if possible, and it may be required. Sympathectomy is you have to cut the nerve supply of that artery, so that will be helpful. It will heal the ischemic ulcer, and it will improve the skin nutrition also. And last treatment is surgical treatments, that is amputation. You have to cut the part which is affected, or where there is established arterial occlusion is present. Okay, this is all about the Buerger's disease or thromboangiitis obliterans. Okay, next one is Raynaud's disease. Raynaud's disease is usually present in young women, and mostly the upper extremities are affected than the lower extremities. The peripheral pulses are normal in this disease, and this condition is attributable to abnormal sensitivity in the direct response of arterioles to cold. That is abnormal sensitivity to the arteriole to cold. That means in cold season, or when it is cool, then the vessels may undergo spasm, and as a result the part becomes blanched, and it is incapable, and there will be incapable of finger movements. So when there is cold, the vessels will undergo spasm, and the part will become blanched, and it is incapable, the fingers movement will be incapable. The decreased blood flow cause an accumulation of metabolites in the capillary circulation. So there will be decreased blood flow that causes accumulation of metabolites in the capillaries. Therefore the capillaries dilate. They will be filled with slow flowing deoxygenated blood, and the part will become swollen. And as the attack passes off, the arterioles relaxes, then again the oxygenated blood will return to the dilated capillaries, and the hand becomes red. Then in few patients, the obliterative changes may occur in peripheral vessels like superficial necrosis, tips of fingers, and that will lead to dry gangrene. So what is Raynaud's disease is, it occurs in mainly young women. The upper extremities are mostly affected, and the peripheral pulses are normal in this condition. When there is cold, there will be spasm of vessels that will result in the part becomes blanched, then the finger movements are incapable, then the decreased blood flow will cause accumulation of metabolites in the capillary circulation, then the capillaries dilate, and they will become filled with slowly flowing deoxygenated blood. Then the part therefore becomes swollen and dusky. And when the attack passes off, the arterioles will relax. They will be filled with oxygenated blood. That means the oxygenated blood will return into those arterioles and into dilated capillaries, and the hand becomes red, and there will be burning sensation or pain is produced by the increase in tissue tension. So thus the condition is recognized by characteristic sequence of blanching, then dusky cyanosis, and then red engorgement. As in some few patients, there will be obliterative changes may occur in peripheral vessel, and therefore the superficial necrosis may occur. The top of fingers undergo dry gangrene, and the distal part of the terminal phalanges are absorbed. And you have to differentiate the early cases of Raynaud's disease must be distinguished from chilblains and vascular disturbances, which are sometimes associated with costoclavicular syndrome. The treatment of Raynaud's disease is conservative treatment. You have to protect your hands from cold, avoid you have to avoid pulp or nail bed infections. Then you have to give vasodilator drugs. So this is the regime, that is conservative treatment, that is advised for mild cases. Then the surgical treatment is sympathectomy. The immediate results of this sympathectomy are good, but after few months the susceptibility to cold will return, and although the cyanosis is not so severe as before the operation, and subjective symptoms are less marked after this operation. So sympathectomy, that is the surgical treatment. The immediate results are good, but after some months susceptibility to cold will return, and the cyanosis is not severe as before operation. This shows the abnormality in the arterioles. Then one more condition is there, that is Raynaud's phenomena. Raynaud's phenomena is a peripheral vasospasm. It will also occur secondary to other organic disease such as atherosclerosis or collagen disease like scleroderma or Burgess disease. Then use of industrial tools like pneumatic road drills or chain saws which vibrate at certain frequencies. Okay, that is Raynaud's phenomena, that is peripheral vasospasm, and it will also occur secondary to other organic diseases like atherosclerosis or collagen disease, or it may be because of use of industrial tools, that is pneumatic road drills or chain saws. Okay, that is it, Raynaud's phenomena. Okay, once again we will summarize the today's topics. That is, first one is aneurysm, which is dilatation of artery or localized segment of artery. It may be true or false. According to shape, it is divided into fusiform, saccular or dissecting. According to etiology, it is divided into atherosclerotic or syphilitic or traumatic or collagen disease, or it may be mycotic. Some big arteries like aorta, femoral artery, popliteal or subclavian or carotid arteries are affected, and small arteries can be affected. Those are cerebral, splenic, mesenteric or renal arteries. The symptoms will depend upon the expansion of that aneurysm or thrombosis that is present, or rupture of aneurysm, or release of emboli from that site, and the symptoms may also depend upon the vessel that is affected, the site that vessel supplies, that artery supplies, or tissue that is compressed, the nearby tissue that is compressed, that will give some symptoms. Okay, for example, emboli from aortic aneurysm may cause ischemia of toes, or thrombotic occlusion of popliteal artery can cause gangrene of foot. The clinical features are intrinsic and extrinsic. In intrinsic, there will be swelling with expansile pulsation. Then the sac is compressible, and on palpation you can feel a thrill or a brute. Then extrinsic clinical features are when the neighboring structures are affected, like if there is pressure of vein, it will cause distal edema, or when there is pressure on nerve, it will cause altered sensation. And this you have to differentiate these aneurysms with swelling under the artery, swelling over the artery, or when the abscess is present. The next topic was thromboangiitis obliterans or Buerger's disease, that is characterized by three characteristic features are present, that is occlusion of artery, thrombophlebitis, and Raynaud's phenomena. These three may be present, or one or two manifestations may be present in Buerger's disease, and this doesn't occur in women and in non-smokers. The treatment of Buerger's disease is total abstinence of smoking, then sympathectomy, and lastly amputation may be required in some cases. The next topic was Raynaud's disease, which occurs in young women. Mostly the upper extremities are affected than the lower extremities. There will be peripheral pulses, those are normal. Then abnormal sensitivity to arterial to cold is present, that is on cooling these vessels undergo spasm, the part will become blanched, and that will be incapable of fine movements. So the decreased blood flow will cause accumulation of metabolites in the capillaries. Then the capillaries will dilate, they will be filled with slow flowing deoxygenated blood, that part will become swollen, and when the attack passes off, when the hands will become warm, the attack will pass off, the arterioles will relax, they are filled with oxygenated blood that will be returned to dilated capillaries, and the hand becomes red. The treatment of Raynaud's disease is protection from cold. You have to protect yourself from the cold. You have to avoid the nail bed infections or pulp infection. You have to give the conservative treatment, that is vasodilators you have to give, and surgical treatment is sympathectomy. That will have immediate results, they are good, but after some months the susceptibility to cold will return, but the symptoms will be not so severe as those before operation are present. And last topic was Raynaud's phenomena, that is peripheral vasospasm, that may occur secondary to diseases, organic diseases like atherosclerosis, or collagen diseases like scleroderma or Buerger's disease, or because of use of some industrial tools like pneumatic road drills or chainsaws which vibrate at certain frequencies, that will cause Raynaud's phenomena. Okay, this is all about aneurysms, Buerger's disease, Raynaud's disease, and Raynaud's phenomena. Thank you.